Hi, it's Cece, and today I'm going to show you how to super easily decorate and pretty up the sides of your drawers or the fronts of your drawers or whatever surface you want to make all pretty. And we're going to do that by decoupaging rice paper. Okay, so you hear the word decoupage and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't do it. I can't, no. But this rice paper from Redesign with Prima takes the scary part out of decoupage. So the rice paper, there's several beautiful designs. This is one of my favorites, and I'm going to be using it on these drawer sides. The pretty colors, oh my gosh, they're so pretty, aren't they? So rice paper typically, you think of a very thin, frail, sheet of paper that's very delicate. And although the Redesign with Prima rice paper is delicate, it's not so delicate that it just falls apart, okay? It feels about like the weight of, thinner paper towel maybe, or maybe a dryer sheet, sort of. It is very fibrous, and it is a bit transparent. See how you can see through it just a little bit? But despite that, it still has the really beautiful print and vibrant colors on there. So the rice paper is, it's fairly porous, it breathes, okay? So it's next to impossible to have an end product with wrinkles and or bubbles because, nothing gets trapped behind the rice paper. It smooths out super easily, so it has a really good look. One of the reasons why I am scared of decoupage with napkins or tissue is because it's almost impossible to avoid those wrinkles and bubbles and things like that. And even with an iron, it's like, no. It looks like you slapped a napkin on there. So I don't like that look. So this is super easy and fun. I'm going to show you real quick how to do it on, any surface. So I gave my surface a base coat of off-white paint. And the reason I did that is because it's slightly transparent. You want to give it a nice bright crisp background in order to get that the color to pop, and really show. You don't have to do it like that. You don't have to paint first. I just choose to in order to make the most of my colors. Okay, so we've got our painted surface or not painted surface if you so choose not to paint it. And what I'm going to be using for an adhesive is the 3D matte gel in transparent from Prima Marketing. Okay, 3D matte gel. It's like a very thick gel. I like it because it spreads well. It's also thick enough to hold the paper in place while it dries. Some thinner adhesives, they dry so fast or they don't hold it very well and you're constantly rubbing it back on. This grabs it, keeps it on there, dries quickly, and it's good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay down a little layer of my 3D matte gel. Make sure you get transparent or whatever adhesive you use, make sure that it dries clear or that it's archival so it doesn't turn yellow on ya. So I've got a little just cheapy chip brush and I'm just gonna go ahead and start brushing on my adhesive to lay down my rice paper. Now you don't have to necessarily do a really thin coat, but you don't have to load it on there, okay? I go somewhere kind of in the middle. I put a nice healthy coat on there, enough to where it won't dry too quickly on me before I get a chance to get my paper mounted in place. But I don't want it so thick that it doesn't dry or that it, kind of makes a uneven spot where it's super thick or anything, you know what I mean? So just a nice little in the middle application, Goldilocks if you will, not too thin, not too thick. And you can also use your favorite water-based sealer for this. What else is there? I don't normally use the sealer because a lot of them can tend to be a little too thin for me. And I like a good kind of thick medium, which this definitely is. Okay, so once I make sure I've got my adhesive medium applied, nice and good, even, all over, not missing any spots. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and take my rice paper, and this is the size of a sheet of rice paper, okay? It's the perfect size for jewelry boxes, drawer sides, you know, maybe lining the drawers if you have like small-ish drawers. So I'm gonna go ahead and line up my front, and we're gonna keep this top piece because we're gonna use it on the other drawer. But this is the bottom drawer, so we're gonna line up the bottom of the sheet and the left side of the sheet to the front, okay? And just kind of lay it on there tightly in position, and then I'm just gonna smooth it out with my fingers or my palm, one or the other, or both, gently, because if you do have a little wrinkle or bubble, you don't want to press it down too hard and make it permanent. So, you know, just lightly get it into place, get those bubbles and wrinkles out, and after it's all in place and you know that it's all adhered, then I like to go around the edges with, you know, with my thumb or my finger. Edges, and then I like to take my palm and just rub it on fairly firmly. Okay, you don't want to press so hard you rip it off or anything, but you want to give it some pressure, get out those bubbles and wrinkles, and make sure it's adhered very well. How easy was that? So easy, so easy. Okay, so now with decoupage tissue or fabric or paper, I would take scissors or a blade, and I would you know, cut to flush you know, my material, you know, to get it to size and get this excess off. However, with scissors or a blade, like I like to use, with the rice paper, it's a little bit too much. It can kind of pull and tear on your rice paper if you're not really careful. So instead of using scissors, I like to use a little sanding pad. I just grabbed one. This is coarse. I don't think you necessarily need coarse. I just grabbed it, but you want to take your sanding pad or sandpaper, whatever, sanding block, anything for sanding, and we're just going to go along the edge with our sanding pad gently, and that's just kind of breaks up the fibers on the edge of our rice paper and acts as, you know, our knife. It also, what it does is it makes a more organic edge instead of just a straight edge. It creates a more organic, fading kind of edge, you know, for the rice paper. So it looks really, really good. It looks really nice when you just kind of lightly sand it off. So we'll do that here too. Pull it off, boom. Ha! It's magic. Is that magic or what? So at this point, I'm done applying my rice paper, and you don't have to seal it. I got a little harsh edge down on the bottom. I'm gonna try to sand that to get rid of it. Not a huge deal, but I'm really picky about things like that. So we're just sanding the edge a little bit. The rice paper distresses really well too. You should know that, for those of you who love a distressed look. All right. So let's see, we're gonna rub our edges down. Boom, boom, boom. You can leave this as is and be done, or you can choose to seal it. I usually choose to seal it because I like extra protection. I like longevity. I like to make sure my art is gonna last. So I will seal this with a satin water-based sealer, similar to a polyacrylic, just a clear top coat, whatever sheen or flat, or you know, whatever you prefer, but I like me a good satin, and that's it. That's it. Easy peasy, right? And it looks really, really pretty. Pretty pattern. So this was the bottom half of the rice paper. I will now take the top half of the rice paper and do the same exact process over here. except that I'm going to line it up from, you know, the new bottom, okay? So that way when the drawers are in place and if they're both pulled out for some reason, then they line up and it's like a little meant to be pattern. So let's just make sure we got enough here to do our other drawer. Looks like we do. So I'm gonna take my 3D matte gel again, and I'm gonna go ahead and just lay down my adhesive layer. Oh, whoops. I really love the look of this rice paper, you know, as a background on the drawer sides or on a jewelry box. And I have layered transfers and stenciling on top of the rice paper before, so you can use it alone. It's beautiful by itself. You can also layer it with other Redesign with Prima products and create something really fun and custom and different, you know? So it's usable alone, but it is also a team player, which is awesome. And all right, so there we go. Adhesive, done. Now we're gonna do the same thing, but we're gonna line it up from our new bottom that we tore off. And I'm gonna start on this little front here to line it up, and then I'm gonna make sure that I have just a little bit underneath, like maybe a 1/16 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, or something like that, to kind of tuck it under just a little bit, because we had a little bit of a straight edge on our last drawer, and I don't really like the whole straight edge, so that's why we gave it a little bit of a sanding, a distress. But by giving it just about an 1/8 or 1/16 of an inch underneath, you can just tuck it under just like that. You see how it's just tucking under? And that way, look, no straight, no edge showing. It's just all rice paper, all pattern, all pretty. Okay, so I'm gonna take my palm and just kind of, we lost a little piece. Oh, I might have had a little too much glue in that little spot. So, a little too much glue in that spot. So when I rub my palm over it, it just came up. But guess what? I'm kind of glad that happened because I can show you how to fix it. So we'll rub the rest on a little more gently, okay? A little more gently. And I'm actually going to grab a sanding block. Or actually, how about a Surf Prep rad pad? That sanding block was just a little, that sandpaper, the pad was a little bit too coarse for my uses. So we got us a fine grit rad pad. And we just go along the edge, kind of gently, working at it until we feel like those fibers are weakened enough to kind of just rip it off. Just like that. And that's where we're gonna get our Band-Aid for our boo-boo. Genius, right? So let's get our edges down here. Let's go ahead and we'll save this little guy here because we're gonna use that as our Band-Aid. But let's go ahead and get our top, a little top excess area off. I'm just rubbing this lightly on the edge of the drawer side. And the fibers are weakened up enough to where we can just pull them off, just like that. The rice paper is very fibrous, so you might have some of these little fibers kind of sticking up. That's okay. You can glue them down or pull them out or cut them off, whatever you want. They don't really, you know, I pull them out, you can't really tell, so we'll just go with that. There you go, easy peasy. And let's go ahead and pick a little section of our excess here that is going to match that pretty well. I think let's just tear off that whole top real quick and see what happens. It might be a little bit discolored or a little bit different of a pattern. Yeah, it's a little different of a pattern, but let's just see what happens. I'm gonna grab our adhesive. I'm gonna put a little bit of adhesive down there in that spot carefully so I don't rip up any more of it. Boo. And I'm gonna take the little bit Band-Aid and I'm gonna just kind of rip around the edges so that it doesn't have that hard line on it, so it blends in a little bit easier. So just ripping around the edge, okay? So it's a nice organic edge. And then we're just gonna place it. Yes, I know it doesn't match perfectly, but it is a pattern that, let's see, hold on. It's a pattern, you know, that it can kind of camouflage in or blend in. So that would work. Let's try ripping this in half actually. So we were able to line up that part of the pattern. And now we've got this left and we can just kind of, let's just kind of fudge that in there like that. And then we'll put some adhesive on top of it so it kind of stays down and dries. Okay, and there is our fixed little line, almost. All right, so that's gonna dry clear. And now we've got our little Band-Aid patched in area. Yes, it's a little bit off in color. However, there's a couple fixes for that. It's not so bad, but if you can't live with it, there's a couple fixes. So we can take a little dab of paint in this kind of cream color that we want to match and just kind of dab it on there, dry brush kind of, if you will. Or we can grab another pattern of rice paper and cut a little Band-Aid from that, maybe like a flower or something like that that we could kind of put over that. Or let's see, what else could we do? I don't know, there's little ways to kind of boo-boo your, Band-Aid your boo-boo, you know what I'm saying? So those are two ways. We could also kind of take this, that color, that peachy kind of color that it is. You can see it a little bit more over here. And kind of dab that on lightly around it to make more of that, you know, kind of color patches. Almost like watercolor patches, you know what I'm saying? And camouflage that little Band-Aid that we have there. So that is how to apply the rice paper and how to fix the boo-boo or begin to fix the boo-boo. I don't know. I haven't quite decided yet. That's why I didn't seal them yet, because I don't know what I'm going to do as far as layer more elements on there, you know, transfer stencil. I don't know yet. Maybe I'll just stick a little butterfly on there. Butterflies fly over flowers, so it makes sense, right? Anyway, so that is the joys of rice paper from Redesign with Prima. Easy peasy application, and lots of pretty designs to choose from. So get you some rice paper and have fun with it, because it truly is, it makes decoupaging not painful. It makes it actually enjoyable. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.